the more you're exposed to, you see a lot more negativity, and it's disturbing and disgusting to me. But instead of me becoming bitter and evil about it, I've chosen to become more self-aware, and I have more empathy for people. And I never want to change that. I think if anything, it's given me more empathy because I'm like, oh, I feel really bad for you.
Yes.
And I feel bad that you can't also understand that I'm just living my life. I'm not perfect. I am doing what you're doing we're just trying to figure it all out. But if we're all a little more understanding and kind to one another, it would make our trials, tribulations, ups and downs that much easier.
Hey everyone, welcome back to On Purpose, the #1 health podcast in the world. Thanks to each and every single one of you. I'm so grateful to you for your time. Week in, week out, you show up to listen, to learn, and to grow. And it means so much to me that you trust me with your time. And that's why you know that my commitment to you as my community, as my audience, is to find people that I genuinely connect with, to find people that I believe that can truly help us live more vulnerably, more authentically, more deeply. And today's guest is someone that I can't wait to introduce you to. Now, she genuinely needs no introduction, so I'm not even going to do that element of the show. But she's someone that I started talking to probably about a year ago now, or maybe a little less. And all of our conversations have been so uplifting, so inspiring, so motivating. Everything she posts on social media really speaks to her beautiful heart. And I'm so excited today to unpack that, to unravel that, and discover more about her. And her name is Khloe Kardashian. Khloe, thank you for being here.
Thank you. That was such a beautiful intro. Thank you.
Well, I meant every single word, genuinely.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. I really am. And you've been someone I've been dying to meet in person. So this is an honor for me. So thank you.
Well, I'm honored and touched to hear that because the feeling is very, very mutual. And my intention for doing this podcast and reaching out to you to do this was I love a podcast as an excuse to get to know each other better. Mm-hmm. And I was also hoping that we have all these secret conversations offline, online on Instagram. And I was like, I wish we could share this with the world. Everything that we talk about, all the things that we believe in, to explore the things we have in common. Right. And for people to get to know the deeper parts of you and all the amazing messages you have.
Well, and it's so, I know your job is to be positive and uplifting, but when it is even, we talk through DMs and it's really beautiful when that translates, because sometimes it's all about smoke and mirrors and people might project that they're one thing, but that's not really what they live, and that's entirely who you are. So it's really great to see that. And even coming into your home and you allowing me and my film crew and all of us in here, your home is super zen and beautiful, and you have life in here with your trees, and it's just, it's a great message.
Well, thank you. They're wonderful too. I actually said to them before you came, I was just like, I've never met a crew that's so happy. Yeah. That's such great energy. Like everyone was like smiling. And
they're the best.
We were having a great conversation. And I love
they're the best. And they're like that every single day. And they're dealing with me and my crazy family with a slew of emotions. So for them to maintain that beautiful energy, it really keeps me very balanced and centered.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful. So anyway, the feeling's very mutual. Even your demeanor, the way you came in today, and all the conversations. I've read some of our conversations to my wife, and she was just like we're both just so in love with you. It's just like you project so much love in the conversations we've had.
Thank you.
And so that's why I felt compelled to reach out to you.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, but one of the things you said to me that stood out in one of our DM conversations was you said, imagine if everyone in the world was 5% kinder. Mm-hmm. And that stuck with me. I was just like, wow, imagine if everyone was just 5% kinder. Like you weren't talking about, let's make everyone in the world super kind. And, tell me what that means to you and what made you say that and where that came from.
Well, I don't know if it's the older I get or the more accessible I am to so many people because of social media nowadays and just the technologies in our hand. It just feels really heavy. The world feels really heavy and depressing. And if you read statistics for mental health, bullying, violence, everything is escalated. And I think we're too exposed to too many avenues of people and too many ways for people to connect with us. And we are all made up of energy. And when people either take too much from you, it is a ripple effect. And sometimes if someone projected negativity onto you, you just instinctively will project it back to them or as a defense mechanism to somebody else. And it's also not fair to misdirect that energy because it is a ripple effect and it goes to other people. But if we were to be a little more self-aware, and when someone is mean or negative to us, instead of us being combative back. If we were just like, why are you hurting? Or just even like, okay, and just took it instead of having your ego involved where you have to shout louder. If you just took it, that's even just being kind. I'm not saying people have to go buy roses for everyone or whatever, but even opening a door, smiling at someone, you don't even have to talk. It's a universal language that everybody understands. That would give a ripple effect, or even the karma back to you that you're going to receive a little bit more kindness that day. I think it's highly naive of me to say 50% or I want everyone to, think that they're surrounded by glitter and unicorns. Like, that's just not reality. It is. And it's also cool when life gets heavy too, to see how you can manage and filter through it. But that doesn't mean we still have to be horrible people to one another.
Yeah. No, I love that. I love what you're saying, because I think we also, and you touched on this, we think being kind means these big gestures or like having to save the world or, doing something really colossal. Like, it has to be big and expansive. But you're right that we forget and we underestimate how much just a smile, a kind word, a kind message, or thinking of someone can just change someone's day. And I love those simple things, because I think that those are things anyone can do, and those are things everyone can appreciate.
Whenever I have like a waitress or someone, they are busting their butts to work and they're cleaning tables and they're serving you. It's a beautiful thing. And instead of just like, you don't even look up at them. If you just look at them, stare them in their eyes and say, thank you. Or you can tell that people are so rude to people in any service industry, because they almost get like shocked, like that someone's staring directly at me. And as a human, you never want to feel that you're invisible or that people are looking past you. You want people to look at you. And even just that alone, that makes someone's day. And if someone was having a bad day or feeling like, man, I can't get by, I'm working my ass off and people are just mean to me, it depresses them more. Like, it's like, just look at someone. Hey, how are you? Thank you so much. Like, that's it. A busboy, anything. I think we all take for granted how hard everybody works. No matter what your job is, it's still a job. And just a little smile or a little, hope you're having a nice day. Like, something so simple. It does nothing for you. Like, why does that hurt you? Just do it. And it could really change their entire day.
Yeah. I remember a huge mistake that I used to make. Like, this was something that I wish I never did, but I did. And I literally used to walk into Ubers or Lyfts, and I'd be on my phone and I wouldn't say anything, because, you've already programmed where you want to go.
Right.
So you don't need to talk to the person if you don't want it. And I would just walk in. I wouldn't even say hello. And I wouldn't say hello. I wouldn't say, how's your day? I wouldn't greet them. And it took one driver to actually not start driving for like 3 minutes. And he was like, hello, how are you?
Oh, wow.
And I probably even missed it the first time. And the second time he was like, hello, how are you? And he kept asking me. And it must have been like the third or the fourth time that I registered, because I was so busy.
Wow.
And I was just like, oh, wait a minute. And he was just like, yeah, I just wanted to just ask how you were. And it just took me to that where I was like, I can even just saying hello. Now, I'm not saying you need to get into a big life story conversation with your Uber or Lyft driver, but the point being that I think
they're still humans.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. Yeah.
And I think because of our phones, and we're so busy, but remember, we all operated before our phones somehow. So life goes on.
Do you remember that time?
I do. And I miss that time. I do feel bad for like my little sisters who I don't think they ever knew that time, because they were too young. They wouldn't have a phone at that age anyway. But we forget that we're all humans. And I also, yes, of course, we don't want to have, like, sometimes we're just tired and we don't want to talk. I get it. Totally. But I also, most people can be room readers. So if you go in the car, like, hey, how are you? Like, and that's kind of it. If they keep engaging, you're not being rude. You could still kind of just give short answers, and hopefully they'll kind of get the clue and stop talking to you. And if not, maybe they just need someone to talk to.
Definitely not encouraging anyone to get into a life story conversation. Just be human. I think you put it best. Right. Yeah, be human. We talk a lot about self-care, self-worth in our conversations. I see you post these amazing stories, and that's how I actually found out. I remember once you posted one of my videos, and I was just like, oh, wow. Like, I just felt very humbled and touched. But you share so many other people's, and I think you do such a great job of encouraging creators like myself as well in sharing that. And not just me, and I know you share plenty of other creators as well, which is so beautiful. And when I started to see that, and I see that on your stories all the time, like, it's either true or a true statement, right? It's either true or a true statement. And I love that. And I've commented back so many times and said, oh, I'm really glad you posted that, whatever. When did you kind of get to that space in your life where that became a priority? Like, when did you come to that and you were just like, my self-care and this journey of self-reflection are important to me now? Like, when did you get to this space of everything you're sharing now?
Well, I've always been a writer. I write a lot and I journal. I write a lot, mainly for myself. And then I love it. It's so therapeutic. I did a lot especially when I was going through my divorce specifically, and it was so therapeutic for me. You're just even able, it's like a release. And sometimes when you write something, you either see how important it is or how silly it is to you at the same time, but it's out of your system and you could burn it, do whatever. And then I used to write, I would post a quote and then write a large caption. And it's before I had as many followers, and some people would tear it apart so much that they took out like the real meaning of it and they would make it into whatever they were feeling. And it wasn't what I was feeling. So I just chose to stop doing that as much because it kind of ruined it. Or like the blogs would create things. I'm like, but you took the beauty out of it. That wasn't what it meant.
Right.
But not everybody is as deep or as they just want it to be salacious and something way worse than it is. But I also started seeing how much people were craving some sort of guidance, if you will. And not that I'm that person to go to, because I'm still figuring out my life. We all are. We're still just human beings and we're going to make mistakes and live our life. But I'm okay with sharing my failures because I'm secure enough in just me being a person. I'm still figuring it out. Yeah. I don't know what I'm doing every day, but I just realized what a positive reaction I would get when I would post something encouraging to other people. Or I would go on strangers' pages and just be like, oh my gosh, I love your freckles. And like what that would do. I'm like, that's crazy that just being kind gets so much positive feedback. Like, that should just be normal. I think we're just used to people bullying each other. And if someone, like, I would never go to someone's page to criticize them. That's just not who I am. I wouldn't waste my time. If I felt something, I'm like, oof, why would I even think that about this stranger? Who am I? I would go to someone's page to encourage and uplift. So, but I think in today's day, we're so used to people going to pages to be these, computer bullies and let's just talk about people. But I mean, they're really struggling in their own life. And that's the only reason why they're acting out like that, is because they're feeling that about themselves or whatever. And they're just trying to project it to somebody else.
Yeah. And I love how what you just said now, it's almost like it transforms your feeling towards them into kindness too, because you start recognizing where they're coming from and what they're going through to make them that way.
I think it's just created, it's interesting in the world that we are in. It's either the more you're exposed to, you see a lot more negativity, and it's disturbing and disgusting to me. But instead of me becoming bitter and evil about it, I've chosen to become more self-aware and I have more empathy for people. And I never want to change that. I think if anything, it's given me more empathy because I'm like, oh, I feel really bad for you.
Yes.
And I feel bad that you can't also understand that I'm just living my life. I'm not perfect. I am doing what you're doing we're just trying to figure it all out. But if we're all a little more understanding and kind to one another, it would make our trials, tribulations, ups and downs that much easier.
Yeah. I love that you've always been journaling. I think that's such a great practice. And I love that because I've recommended to so many people that I've worked with to journal and read it back to themselves. And you're so right that sometimes you read your feelings back to yourself and you cry. And there are sometimes you read your feelings back to yourself and you laugh because you're just like, what, really? Like,
oh, right. You're like, that's
really
what I'm upset about?
Yeah.
You're like, that is so petty in today's world. And we all have to also be kind to ourselves and realize that, like, I hate when people say, like, what do you have to worry about? You have all this money or whatever. Oh, so money means you don't have problems? And I don't care who you are. Problems are problems. In your world, you might walk a day in my shoes and be like, I don't want those issues. Or I might walk a day in your shoes and be like, wow, everything's beautiful. But you might see what I thought was beauty as you're not happy and satisfied with that. And you still want more, or maybe you want less. Those are all okay feelings. That's why we each have our own lives.
Yeah.
But to attack somebody else for what is considered their problems, I just find really counterproductive. And that's not motivating yourself. If you want a lot of money, go out there and get it. I believe in you. I'm applauding you. But when people, I think journaling is so good, especially when it's private, because for me personally, it's something I get to write down and I don't feel judged, but I'm allowed to criticize myself because it's my journey and I know the day one to the last day that I've taken those steps. So I'm allowed to critique and be like, you know what, Chloe, you're way past this. You don't need to harp on things like this. I think it's healthy. And even if you read it back and you just laugh at yourself, I think that's also a great form of therapy.
Yeah, 100%. What's the most powerful or meaningful journal entry you ever wrote that was really like transformative for you? I'm fascinated.
That's a good question. You know, sometimes I write and I don't even know what I'm saying.
Right.
Like sometimes I'm just like, it's like words and then it turns into something. And I never even knew that was a thing, but I was like, you know, I'm just compelled to write. And I would just start scribbling and it might be literally talking about my day. And then it goes into maybe like something to do with like, why did this happen? Like, you just like, cause your mind wanders. I know you meditate. I pray. I'm not great at meditating and sitting and my mind wanders too much. So when I pray, my prayers are very conversational. Yeah. And I realize it's kind of how I journal as well. It's more of a conversation, but I'm talking almost to myself, which might be a little insane, but.
No, not at all. I think the most important meeting we have is with ourselves.
I guess so.
So I think it's great. Yeah, no, it makes sense. I love that because for me, meditation's a prayer too. And I think that's what's so beautiful about it, that it is a conversation, it is an exchange. And often one of the things that I would do is in my meditation or prayer, I would ask a question. And it's not about trying to find the answer. It's about sincerely asking the question. Like, can you really ask a question with sincere intent, with a genuine feeling of like, I really want to understand this. And when you ask it with that, then of course it becomes a conversation because there's a response. And you're right, sometimes it's from within, sometimes it's from someone you have a conversation with that day. It comes from absolutely anywhere. And I love that. I think prayer is so important. And like you said, even if it's just a conversation with yourself, God, the universe, whatever you work with, it's a beautiful practice to have.
I don't care what anybody else believes. I believe in God. I'm not judging whoever believes in. I do believe everybody should have a faith in something. It centers us. It holds us accountable for our actions every day. And so my faith is in God. I'm Christian, and I wake up every morning early intentionally so I have a beautiful view, and I open my windows and I just look and I pray. And I always start my day with gratitude because I think that transcends through the rest of my day. And not that we can control every emotion, but I like to, even if sometimes you just wake up and you're either melancholy or you're just kind of grumpy. But even if I am, I try to convince myself, this is a great day. Look how blessed you are. Like, everything's beautiful. We take our health for granted. Like, we're healthy. Like, I just try to have a conversation with myself. And if I am having a grumpy day, it normally turns it around. Yeah. Normally. We all have those moments where it doesn't.
Yeah. We've intersected some of our mornings. I think some of our conversations have been in the morning. And what do you have, is that gratitude practice that you have is just talking to yourself? Like, that's what it is for you. It's just almost like guiding yourself to be grateful in the morning.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's new. I've always prayed, but it used to be just at night. And over the past couple years, I've decided, like, you know what? I want to start my day like this too. I think because I used to just be so busy. I'm still busy, but like, I would never take that time. And yes, I have to wake up earlier, but it changes my whole, just the momentum of my day. So I wake up earlier, I make it an effort. You make time for the things you want to do.
100%.
And, that's something I want to do. It gives me such a better, lighter energy throughout the day. And it's important. I think we all have ups and downs, and we all going through rough patches. So not every day I've felt compelled to do it, but I've started doing it maybe like 4 years ago. And I love it. It's increased over the past year significantly, where I probably would do it every now and then. And now I do it religiously, I would say, for the past year.
That's beautiful. Thanks for sharing that as well. I love finding out about these things because I think so many of us don't get a space to share this. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this. Was I'm happy that we're learning this about you, and I'm learning this about you. I love what you said about figuring things out, because I actually think when we're sharing when we're figuring things out, they're more relevant. It's almost like when you figure something out perfectly and then you teach it,
Right.
it's kind of doesn't feel as real to everyone who's learning. But like you said, like when you're trying to navigate life and you're making mistakes and you're failing, and that's the same with me. Like I'm always sharing that everything I'm sharing in my videos is stuff that I've been through and I'm working through and figuring out. What's something you're trying to figure out right now? Like what's something that you've been reflecting on right now?
Oh, goodness, my life. No. There's nothing specifically I can pinpoint. I absolutely love being a mom. It's one of my favorite things. And, about under a year, I would say about 8 months ago, I've had a breakup. And so figuring out, I think people are so good at distracting. And I've really chosen to not distract myself or to try to not distract myself. Maybe people can say true would be a distraction, but if anything, she's a healthy distraction. And I love, I haven't jumped into dating. I don't care to date right now. I'm not in a rush for it. I feel so good in my life and I don't really need much else. And so something that I'm focusing on is just making sure that I process everything. I think, especially in my family, we're good at moving on. Like we have very big forgiving hearts. We just move on, but we don't really talk about things that happened. And I don't really know if that's healthy or not. And so for what I went through with my breakup, I forgive Tristan. I don't think he's a bad person. I think we all make mistakes. We're humans, but it's only going to hurt me if I'm holding on to this anger and playing this victim role. I don't believe in being a victim. I believe in, okay, this happened to me. Let's figure it out. Let's push through it. And maybe if I'm open and honest about it, it can help other people feel like it's okay. We're all human. We're all going to get through things, but you also can't condemn somebody else for just either sinning differently than you did, or I just feel like we're all so quick to, exile people, and it's just so heavy to me. And so something that I'm just focusing on is making sure I'm healed from that, or as much as I can, and try to understand it as much as I can, and then don't distract myself right now. And so I just try to have a lot of me time in the mornings, and that's where I kind of filter through that. Yeah. I think.
Hearing that's beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, no, just listening to you say that, I was like, wow, what a beautiful place to be in.
Thank you. I feel really good.
Yeah, I can hear that.
I do. And I'm proud of myself, because I think so many people, it's natural to almost be the victim. It's natural when, especially when you're on this platform and the whole world is like, oh, I feel so bad for you. It's like, okay, thank you. But this has also happened to, I'm sure, hundreds of other people before. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying I'm not going to die. We're all fine. And I want to show my daughter that it's okay. And it's a beautiful thing to also forgive her dad. He's a great person. It's, maybe him and I weren't compatible or whatever on that way, but that's okay. Nobody's going to die here. And I always want True to be surrounded by love. And I know babies feel energy. We feel energy. And I just want her to always feel just bliss as much as I can.
That's so incredible.
I know it's not realistic every day, but as much as I can control it, I feel like it's my mama bear job to control it. I think so.
Yeah. Well, when I'm hearing you say that, I'm feeling the energy of what you're saying. And to me, it sounds like I don't think what you're presenting is an ideal impossible. I think what you're presenting is a very real opportunity to say, it's my child. I want her to have this environment. And I'm going to work really hard for her to have this environment, whatever that means.
Oh, it's hard.
Right? Yeah,
of course not easy for me. It's it would be easier for me to keep my daughter away and be like, no, because you hurt me. But he never hurt True. You know what I mean? Him and I have our own relationship, and then Tristan and True have theirs. And I will never come in between that. I don't believe in that. But I attest that to my parents were incredible co-parenters. From what I know, my mom and my dad, I'm sure, fought all the time, not around us. I would never know. My sister Courtney and he's like my brother, Scott, they're incredible co-parenters. And as long as it's not hurting you in any way, if this was hindering Courtney's growth or if it hinders my growth, then you have to also put yourself first, because you are in fact, taking care of your children. But if it's not hindering you or hurting you in any way, I think it's important to work on all relationships.
Yeah, I read somewhere the other day that kind of, I feel really articulates what you're saying. It said, letting go is hard, but holding on is harder. And that's the choice almost that we have in these tough situations. And the way you're sharing it is just amazing, by the way. Like
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm in awe. I think it's incredible.
Oh my gosh, thank you. You in awe of me.
No, I mean it. I'm not just saying it. Like,
no, that's so nice.
I mean it because I think, I'm sure there's so many people listening right now who can relate to circumstances in your life, situations in your life that you've been through. You know, we all know that these things happen, you know, out there. And I think so many of us hold on for so long. And as we know, like you said, it's hard work. It's not easy. It's not just going to be plain sailing. But the fact is that you can move in that direction.
You can. And I've been through a lot of things in my past that I think have put me here. I'm not saying, oh, it's so easy. And no, it's hard work. It definitely is. But I think with every relationship I've been in, I've always learned kindness and understanding. And also, one reason why I stopped sharing my journaling or my long captions, if you will, is because people only understand from their level of perception as well. And it would infuriate me when my beautiful notes, I'm sure you could understand because you share so much, would be taken in a way that I'm like, that's not at all how I meant for that to be. And so I can't explain something to someone when this is only the level of their understanding and their want to understand.
Yeah.
People also have to have the desire to want to learn more and want to open up their mind to if I'm closed up and if I'm just some bitter person where I live my life like the world is unjust and why do bad things happen to me? It's like, to me, there's no good, there's no bad. Things happen. It's the energy of the world. How you handle it is then, again, another ripple effect from how I think more things are going to happen to you. But if I'm sitting here like, life sucks, life is so unjust, unfair, all these bad things are happening, then, oh my gosh, you're just going to attract all this heavy stuff. But if I'm like, okay, that was not the best, but I'm going to figure out why and let me try to move on and still let me not misdirect my energy. Let me try to be happy. Let me try to still be kind to others as much as you can. And you can still hurt, but you should also heal and then be responsible for your hurting and not channel it to other people.
Yeah.
I just feel like sometimes we're really irresponsible with our feelings and we have to be responsible as adults, especially adults that are supposed to be guiding kids and like our youth. You have to be a lot more responsible in how we do things.
Yeah, that's so true. I love that about being irresponsible with our feelings. Let's explore that a bit because I think that's such a powerful statement in and of itself. And literally this morning, I was sharing this reflection that I was having on social media, and it was about how it's tough to start communicating with children, but sometimes it's even more tough to communicate with our inner child. Right. And like while we're trying to grow up and everything, and it's like, well, you're saying that we're irresponsible with all the feelings that were there and we just move on. And we think when we move on, you've dealt with it.
Right.
But that healing that you're talking about is just, for me as well, like I always felt like I was someone who moved on, and I always felt like I was someone who like, oh, I didn't get affected by that. And then I started to see that actually I had behaviors in me that were complete reflections of a past pain. Right? Like there were behaviors in me that were reflections of a past guilt.
Right.
And then I realized that it's not that they just disappeared. It's that they were going to come out in a different way that was going to hurt future relationships. It was going to hurt present relationships. And for me, that's where I started to work through that, where I started to see actually what I saw in whatever it was, I'm now reflecting that. Let me look at that behavior and see how that behavior can be healed and transformed.
Right.
And what's the root of that? Does that make sense?
Completely. Yeah. And also I think people get confused that even when you're like, no, I'm totally over that, I'm healed. You can still talk about things and be healed. You can still draw back on those things and say, it hurt me when. It did hurt you when. But I think sometimes people are like, oh, you're done with that. You're like, why are you talking about this for so long or whatever? And it's like, that's also a form of my healing. I hate when other people who have not been through the trauma you have been through, any of us, because we've all gone through traumas, they want to tell you when to stop hurting. And that's not anybody's place to tell you when to stop hurting. And everybody has a different lifespan of pain, I think. Everybody will deal with things in different, what might be traumatizing to me might be nothing to you, and vice versa. And we can't invalidate people's feelings. That's only going to traumatize them more. And also shame them. I'm so over like the emotional shaming of what people do to other people. People can have their feelings and do what they want as long as they're realistic. You also have to step outside of your own self and be self-aware and say, okay, am I completely delusional? Am I making these? Because you could also, your mind, you can play tricks on, and you could start creating a false reality. As long as you're being, I think, really authentic and genuine about your feelings, I think it's okay to talk about your pains and traumas. I think especially if you're doing it in a way that's beneficial to other people, I think that's being responsible. But I think if you're just talking about negative stuff to talk about negative stuff, you're like, oh my gosh, shut up already.
Yeah.
You know, I think you just have to be responsible.
Yeah. You can't, I love what you said, because you can't put a deadline on someone else's pain, right? You can't be the one to invalidate or validate how long someone needs to dissect something or break something down. And I think that's such a great point. And you're right that I think.
But as long as it's realistic, do you know what I mean? Like some people just they just are negative. They just have like a dark cloud over them because they've created that cloud. But that's realistically not their reality. You look at them and you're like, what are you talking about? And if it was something from 5 or 10 years ago, you're like, okay, babe, we gotta, not that we're putting a deadline on it, but let's start working through it.
Yeah.
Let's not sit in the beginning stages of whatever's holding you back.
So it's the balance that you're talking about. It's a balance. It's not either or.
Correct.
Because you can't just talk about it forever and you're not doing anything about it.
Right.
At the same time, you can't say, oh, get over it today.
Right.
It's that balance.
Like I can't stand people that are like eating a bucket of like Haagen-Dazs ice cream. Like, I'm so fat. And like they won't work out. They won't change their diet. They won't drink more water. They won't whatever. But they're complaining. I'm like, well, you're always going to be in this victimized state because you're literally not doing you're not being self-aware. You're not even looking at your own reflection saying, okay, what can I do to change things about myself? It's everybody else's fault.
And what would you say to someone who's in that situation, whether it's whatever it is, whether it's their physical, their emotional, their mental, how do we then talk to that person or coach them with compassion out of that? Like you've done a lot of that work. How do you do that with someone else in the same way as we do with ourselves? Like what would you say to them?
It really does come from within. I think whenever people do things for other people, it's always, you're setting yourself up for failure. I think you really genuinely have to want to change areas of your life. And if you don't, just be happy with who you are. I don't care physically what you look like, your weight, whatever, as long as you're healthy and happy, do you. But I know for me, I was overweight I was unhealthy for a lot of my life. And then when I was like, I started going to the gym during my divorce, like a significant and consistent amount for my mental. I needed a release and I needed to feel strong. And I just needed to get rid of all of these thoughts. And I wanted to be alone. And the only place to really be alone was being on an elliptical with headphones in my ears and kind of just vibing out. And as a side effect, I started losing weight. And I was like, oh, I kind of like this, like, losing weight. And it then became like just some competitive weird streak in me that it was like, I want to see if I can get arm muscles. I want to see, like it started that, but that was never my goal, was never, I want to look good in a bikini. That was never my goal. It was, I just wanted to feel good mentally. And I think when you start putting yourself first, you start feeling so much better. There's not a size clothes that you have to fit into. It's just, then you start exploring things like, wow, I like how I feel when I drink more water. I like how I feel when I pray in the morning. And because of that, you start to become happier and lighter. And then you start to want to do more things, be more active, socialize more, whatever it is.
Yeah. And so many studies now show that even a small amount of exercise a day is so great for the mind and the brain. And I think that's been underestimated for so long. And I know I underestimated that in my life for so long, where I was always someone who focused on the mind and kind of neglected the body and like pushed the body to limits. And then I was just like, oh, wait a minute, they're all interconnected, right? You can't just say, oh, I'm going to deal with this, I'm not going to deal with this. Actually, when you take care of mind, body, and soul, then you feel the best version of yourself.
Correct.
And even if, And that's what I love, that even if your first intention for going to the gym or doing anything is wrong, as you do it more, you'll probably come to the right conclusion.
Right.
Right? If you stay consistent with something,
Completely.
you usually raise your intention.
Completely. I have a TV show called Revenge Body, and all the people, it's a show, and all these people are from different walks of life, and they start with some trauma, and they all come on the show like, I want revenge on, and it's a play on words, Revenge Body. It's not, I don't think the best revenge is a good body. Yeah. It's just a play on words, but they come on the show like, I want revenge on my ex-boyfriend or on my dad or whoever. And I'm always like, okay. And like the first interview, and then towards the show, they're feeling so, because they think this good body is going to want, this person's going to treat them good. It's like, how superficial and narcissistic are we? But we are. That's the world we live in. And so towards the end, they never want revenge on the person it starts out with. They want compassion. And they're like, or I don't want that boyfriend because I deserve better, because I feel better. And the show, they think it's all physical, but what we do, we kind of break them down mentally to self-reflect and look at themselves and figure out what got them here to this place. Because you can't always blame somebody else for why you are the way that you are. You have to be accountable too. And that's something that it means so much to me that through that show, people get to see that a little bit, that it might start off one way, but it's all about internal at the end of the day.
Yeah, whatever gets you started is usually a good thing, because at least it gets you in there. But what I love about what you've just said is that it's just anything that gets us started is a good place to start. But when you're giving someone the power to make you feel beautiful, you've also just given them the power to make you feel ugly, right? And so
completely,
you're just always giving away your power if you don't upgrade that intention. And I think we see that in every part, whether it's our body, our mind, our intellect, our academics, whatever, all these expectations of others, the more we're looking for someone to say, yes, you're amazing now. Yeah. It's like you waiting for that statement. You could wait your whole life for it and it could never come.
Right. And it also almost could become an addiction. Like people, it might not be good enough from one person. They need it from thousands in this or whatever, but it's not that. It's because they need to hear it from within. You need to tell yourself, you're beautiful, you're dope, you're so smart, whatever it is. But they don't feel it. They don't believe it. So when people keep telling them, you're such a good person, they don't believe it at all. That's why they keep trying to find validation in empty things.
I love that. That's amazing. You've talked about things that you do, like gratitude, journaling, prayer. What else do you do on a daily basis that you don't negotiate with you? Like I have to, obviously exercise too.
Working out.
Yeah, working out. Yeah, that one too. What else is there in your day that you just like, I can't negotiate with this. Like this has to be something that I must do every day, every week. Or are those are pretty much the core. I mean, it's praying and working out are like my two that I do basically every single day. And like yesterday I did my schedule wrong, or no, the day before I did my schedule wrong. So I missed my workout and I was like, I felt fine. I went along my day, but when I realized that I did my schedule wrong, I was like, oh my God, I'm so bummed. Cause what it does, it just clears my head. I feel so good afterwards. So whatever that is for people, it doesn't have to be what your non-negotiables are or mine. It's just, I think everybody has to have those. There are I think they fuel me. Yeah. You talked about working with your family, which I think is fascinating in the first sense, because it's an amazing thing that you're constantly surrounded by, working with, you're just in that environment all the time. And you said that you're good at moving on and forgiving each other, which I think is an incredible quality as well. Like, what's that like to deal with every day? And how are you learning more from that experience? Like, what are you learning from that?
I think it's one of the best blessings in the world that I get to say that my job is being with my family every day. When this first started, we were much younger. I think I was 23 or 24. I'm still 23 or 24, so I don't know how that works. But
yeah, we're in the same generation.
Yeah, I'm like, what? Yeah. But it, when you get older, you all have your own families and kids, and not that anything happens, but you normally see your family holidays, not as frequently. We see each other every single day, and I'm honored to be able to do that. Yes, there causes more fighting or tension, But the thing that I've learned about my family is we are loyal, and we, no matter what disagreement we have or whatever, we'll always figure it out. We're not a family that's like, I haven't spoke to my sister in 7 years. Like, I don't know how people do that. And we are very understanding of each other. And I just think it's a really great dynamic. Like, we're understanding of if we're all going through something or whatever, we really try to be there for one another and support them through that. And I just think it's important to show our kids about family unity, or to show that, you know, 2 heads are better than 1, 3 are better than 2. We're not competitive with one another. And whatever we each want to do, we support each other until the end. And I think today's world, everyone's like in a battle to who's the best and who's this and who's that. And when we first started, I remember like interviewers would always say, so like, do you guys go after the same men? Or do you, like, they would always like, our questions would be more, they would almost want us to fight. They couldn't stand that it was just really like, no, we just love each other. And I don't know why people love something salacious and twisted rather than beautiful and just kind. Right. No, but I mean, it's true. And it's interesting, but that's, you know, I guess good stories don't sell. That's why.
Yeah. And I think we can change that. Like the reason why I do what I do and what I really believe in and why we've connected and what I love about our connection is I genuinely believe that if we keep giving people, if we keep shooting for the lowest common denominator for people, then they'll settle for that, right? Like if you only put junk food in front of someone, they're going to take that and eat that.
Right.
But if you put healthy food that maybe looks and tastes like junk food, but that's, you know, really amazing, then most people will switch.
Right.
And I feel the same is true of media. I feel the same is true of stories. I feel the same is true of everything. I believe that people are more beautiful, deeper, and smarter than we believe. And we don't always give everyone an opportunity to live to that. And therefore, people with influence, people with responsibility, people with power can either choose to sell something that shoots at the lowest common easy thing to shoot at. And it's easier to sell garbage, quite frankly. It's so much easier. But we are the ones with the influence and the power to say, no, actually, let's make people aspire for the higher that we know that's inside of them.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
It's interesting. I get so many people will comment negatively when I post almost positive things. I have ups and downs. I have a handful of supportive, handful of, oh my gosh, get over yourself or whatever. And I'm like, you need this the most. Like it's so, you can tell the people that are really suffering the most because they're so quick to condemn and to just take the junk food. They just want the bad stuff. They can't handle the good things. And especially when it's consistent, because that's just, I post for me. I don't post for other people. Like I'm like, this is for me. I need to hear those messages.
Yes.
And if I need to hear it, I'm hoping at least one other person does. But it's interesting that you can see right off like the people that are resistant to it, because some people they also don't want to open their mind up to becoming better people, because sometimes your own comfort will restrict you from your own happiness though, because they're too afraid to step away from their comfort zone. They would rather just be complacent instead of actually finding like something that really makes them happy and excited about life.
Yeah. And I think I remember being there sometimes too. And so like what you were saying earlier of like having empathy towards that person and then praying for them and hopefully opening the door for them one day, or having, you know, wherever they're going to find that. Because I do believe that the more we have these conversations publicly, openly, the more these kind of messages circulate and go viral and get shared, the more people feel the permission and the reflection to look within themselves. It's almost like if it's not out there, if you've never heard it from your parents, if you've never heard it from your teachers, if you never heard it from your best friend growing up or the person you looked up to, it's kind of a lot of this stuff, we expect people to have self-taught, but it's not. It's something you have to hear from someone that you look up to or inspired by that kind of gets you going.
It's interesting. You said, give yourself permission to look inside yourself. And it blows my mind that so many people do feel like they need the permission when you're in control of your own self. But so many people, they want to be like sheep. They just want to be told what to do and let me follow the herd. And that's just, it's mind blowing to me.
Yeah, it is. It is. Tell me something that you've learned from True and something you're trying to teach her.
Oh,
because so many of us,
Cutie.
because her energy on.
Hi, Malika. Malika's
Malika.
here. That's my best friend.
So nice to see you. Thanks for being here. Yeah, nice to meet you. I'll give you a big hug in a moment. Yeah, later, definitely. But I know that you post so much about her. We've spoken about her. I think her energy radiates straight off the page. I know my team was speaking about her earlier as well. Like, yeah, what has she taught you, and what are you trying to teach her? I'm asking this because I haven't had kids yet. So
oh my God. No, and it's interesting. I never, you can feel your child's personality, and like, she's a really good person. Has empathy already for other people. And it sounds crazy that you can know that, but you can. I never really understood that until I had a child. And I've always had patience. I'm good with patience. I've always loved kids, but she gives you a different kind of patience. And when you feel that like you're exhausted and you can't go on with your day, when you're around your own child, you get this surge of energy and you're just like, oh, I got to keep going. Like you just figure it out. And so she just gives me, I think, more of a drive and to stay fit, to stay healthy, because I want to be an active mom with her. I want to be here as long as I can. But I would say it's a different type of patience. I think it's a softer patience. And I mean, I've always been goofy. I've always been silly. So my inner child is there, and I will be the first one to play and be wild. And I don't care how I look. I'll be an animal. It doesn't matter. But I mean, you're just like reliving your childhood again. It's fun.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. So that's what she's teaching you. She's
taught me so much more understanding from my mom. Oh. And you just realize that I think when you're a kid, you'd think your parents are superheroes, and they are, but you still have to understand they're just humans. They're still like, I'm just a person. Doctors are just people. We give everybody so much power, and they're allowed to make mistakes. They're allowed to not know what they're doing. My mom didn't have Google. How the hell did she figure things out? Like now I'm like, I don't know. Can kids have honey? I'm like, I have no idea. I ask my phone and I get the answer. Back then it's like, I have so much more compassion, I think, for my mom. And when I was a teenager and I'm like, oh, why'd you do this to me when I was a kid and whatever? And I'm like, because she didn't know.
Yeah.
She had I feel like I have more understanding and compassion for my mom.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. I did a podcast about 3 weeks ago, and it was called 6 Reasons Why We Need to Develop the Emotional Skills Our Parents Didn't Have. And one of them was to recognize how hard it is.
Yeah.
And the second one was to build compassion because of how hard it is. And to recognize what you just said, like the ease at which we have information, the more conversations about parenting now, and like more research that's been done. Right. And you look at parents before, all they had was just what their parents told them. And then that was passed down and passed down and passed down. So yeah, that's a beautiful lesson. I'm excited to see what I learn when I have children.
Yeah.
But those are definitely beautiful ones.
It's the best.
Yeah.
It is the best.
Yeah. Those are definitely beautiful ones that I can take forward. What is it that's on your mind right now, or that when we were talking and we decided to do this, what was there that was in your heart that you were like, Jay, I really want to share this. I want to talk about this that we haven't kind of dived into right now? You're like, there's something on my mind that.
No, I feel like, I was so excited just to sit with you and to have this natural conversation. I feel like we've touched a lot of topics, and I love that. I didn't want it to be too contrived and about promoting something. I just wanted it to be like a beautiful conversation. So I appreciate that. And I feel like, I don't know, is there anything else? Thinking.
No, that was the same for me. My intention was I wanted to hold space to just hear you and let you talk and share, because like I said at the start, from any conversation we've had, I just think that your journey of figuring it out, sharing this positive message, that energy is so awesome. And I want everyone to experience that.
Thank you.
And that's what my intention was. And I think I've had that today. I'm just sitting here listening to you going, I've just learned so many things today.
Oh my gosh, thank you. And that's the thing. I think our show is our show, and that's a piece of me. I don't blame anything like on editing. That's who I am. That's one layer of who I am. And I don't really get to divulge in this layer of who I am. I do little bits here or there on Instagram.
Yeah.
But sometimes, like I said, it's hard because people tear it apart from what their level is to perceive something. And sometimes that discourages me from wanting to share, because that's not at all what I meant. But when you're able to really vocalize something and have a natural dialogue, sometimes it's easier to share how you feel. So thank you for giving me this platform to do so.
No, of course. That's what I love about podcasts in the first place, but also just like, just being able to dissect the topic for like 30 minutes, 40 minutes, like we need more of that to also understand people better and give people an opportunity. But I'm hoping that we're going to continue seeing you share your work. I'm hoping that we're going to see more of your journals. I'm hoping and praying that we're going to see more of that expression.
Thank you.
Because I truly believe it's helping people.
Oh, thank you.
And the percentages are always going to be in your favor, because I think the amount of people that are good and seeking good and are starting with good intentions is so much more powerful and stronger. And I want you to feel that. So
thank you. Well, you're definitely a huge like motivation. I know for so many people that I know, and I know it's scary and sometimes really daunting and heavy, because so many people someone like you turn to you, because I know the little amount that people turn to me, and I'm not some self-help retired monk. Are you a retired monk?
Yeah,
I don't know. Former monk. I don't know what the proper term is.
No.
But like, I could only imagine how draining it gets for you, because people are requiring so much of your energy. But keep going, because you've helped me in so many ways. And remember the first time I ever heard about you, someone sent me a YouTube video of you. It was before I found you on Instagram. And I was like, who is this man? You're so moving. You're so genuine and kind with what you're saying. And from what I feel, non-judgmental. And it's just a really amazing trait that you have. And I know you're helping a lot of people, and you've made me feel like it's okay to share more things. And that's why I like to share more other people's stuff, because I feel like people, sometimes they get too critical if they think it's just mine, and they need to know that it's okay to share love and kindness the way that you do. So thank you.
Yeah. And thank you for encouraging people like me. I'm humbled by hearing that from you. And it means the world. It really does, because there's a beautiful statement that was said by Martin Luther King. And he was talking about how like those who love peace need to learn to organize themselves as well as those who love war. And I think that those of us who are in this mission and purpose of wanting to spread kindness and not just in like this positive movement sort of way, like I think like real work, real healing, real transformation, not just like, oh, let's be happy, not that kind of stuff, but let's really do the work. Let's really heal.
Right.
I think it's really encouraging when we work together. And we encourage each other and help to build stuff together. So,
and sometimes people find it so like, oh, you guys are just so happy. It's like, I'm not happy all the time.
Yeah.
I have my moments, and I'm still very like, there's things I'm like, oh, really? I have to do that or whatever. Yeah. But then I have to also be like, okay, no, I get to do that. Like, I have to change my thinking. I have to talk to myself sometimes. So it's not like once you have this mentality, you're always in it. It's just a great reminder for ourselves. And also just to change your wording from I have to I get to, like little things like that. If you just try, if you're just aware, it would help you. I think people think it's also too overwhelming to just be kind, and like you said, it's a little 2%, not even have to be 5%, like it could just be a little bit, and what that shift will do for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, I'm hoping that anyone who listens to or watches this conversation feels the energy that I'm feeling right now from you and from being in this space and hearing everything you've been saying. I hope that they get to feel that too. And I hope that they carry that throughout their day and their year. And we all continue to heal and grow together, because we're all figuring it out together.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah. And we end every interview with a quick final 5, which is like a rapid fire, quick fire round. So you can answer in 1 word to 1 sentence maximum.
Oh my God.
So these are easy.
Okay.
So the first question is, number 1, how do you unplug?
How do I unplug?
Yeah.
That's 1 sentence.
Well, you can say,
Phone? Is that what I'm supposed to say?
No, just generally. How do you unplug? No, how do you unplug? How do you choose to unplug? You can answer in a sentence. Or more. You can say more.
I'm not good when you limit me to speak.
Okay,
I'm
not going to limit you.
I am a talker.
I'm not going to limit you. I should not limit you.
No,
okay, let's
go. I would just say I unplug in the mornings when I do my morning routine.
Okay, awesome. Question number 2. What's one change that you made that you feel really boosted your life? One change that you made that really changed everything?
Getting into fitness.
Okay, awesome. Question number 3. What's your weirdest, strangest habit?
Good question.
We're gonna come up.
What is it,
you.
Malika? What is my strangest habit? I feel like I'm weird.
I've just never known anyone that still keeps their favorite treat for like 20 years by their nightstand.
Ooh, what is it?
Tamales?
I wasn't gonna go that far.
Okay.
Hot tamales?
Or hot tamales.
I have a box of hot tamales by my bed.
I love that.
Never changed.
But like
Thank you for being here.
for 400 years. Is that okay? That's my weirdest thing.
I
God.
love that. I love that. Question number 4. What's your wish for everyone who's listening to this episode?
My wish would be my wish would be is that they would focus on doing one kind act every day. And that could just be a smirk, hold a door open. It doesn't have to be overwhelming. I think if everybody who listens to your podcast actually did that, it would be magical.
Mm-hmm. And question number 5, when are you coming over for dinner?
Oh my God. What are you doing tonight?
Yeah, no, we'd love to have you over. Me and my wife, I love having people over for dinner to connect more and etc. So we'd love to.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah,
Okay.
so,
Malika.
yeah. And I want to meet True.
I know she's going to do your next podcast.
Yes. Oh my God. That'd be amazing.
That would be the cutest
we'd
thing
love
ever.
That. Oh, that would be awesome.
That would be awesome.
I'll hold you to that.
Ah.
Yeah, you're amazing. Chloe, thank you so much for
Thank you
doing
so
this.
much.
Thank you for
Thank
agreeing
you.
to this. I hope it's been meaningful to you.
Meaningful and fun, insightful. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Awesome. Thank you. And I hope we do many more of these.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you, Chloe.
Thank
awesome.
you.
Thanks, guys. If you want even more videos just like this one, make sure you subscribe and click on the boxes over here. I'm also excited to let you know that you can now get my book, Think Like a Monk, from thinklikeamonkbook.com. Check below in the description to make sure you order today.
From literally the minute we come into this world, I mean, even though we're not quite aware of it when we're that young, but you know, we're looking for cues from our parents. We're looking for cues from our friends, our family, our school, our society. Who am I? Do I have worth in this world? And unfortunately, I think most people's parents are not qualified to be able to even help them truly understand a lot of these concepts because they were never taught.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for coming back to On Purpose, the #1 podcast in the world. I'm so grateful for each and every one of you for taking out time out of your days and nights, whenever you listen, to learn, to grow, to thrive, to choose to educate, enlighten, and enliven yourselves. And you know that I'm always trying to get guests that I think are coming from a really authentic place. And today's guest is exactly that. I'm so excited to introduce you to our next guest, who's an American actor and singer. You may know him from Chuck, The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. And most recently, he actually plays Shazam in DC's new movie, Shazam. So I'm so excited. Zachary Levi, thank you so much for being here.
Honored to be here, man. Thank you so much for having me. Jay Shetty, everyone. Jay Shetty.
Oh God, that's so good.
I practice it at night.
You were doing accents earlier too, and I was thinking, wow, this is really good.
Was I doing accents?
You were.
What was I doing?
You're doing the Italian.
Oh, Italian. Yeah. That's right. You always have to do it with the hands, though.
Hands,
Otherwise, you're not
You've
really
got
doing it well.
Yeah, you've got it down. But no, I'm genuinely, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, I'm genuinely so grateful that you're here.
Me too. Man.
When
Thank
my
you.
team and I were looking through your work, your words, your insights, the types of things that you choose to speak about, whether you're on interviews or social media, I feel so aligned and connected to them.
Thanks, man.
And I was like, one thing I love about this podcast and the reason why we do it is I want to go beyond the actor, beyond the singer, beyond what someone does day to day.
Into the human being.
Into the human being, like you said, the first thing you said, Zachary Levi, the human being.
Human being, yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Zach. I really appreciate you being here.
Happy to be here.
But yeah, so I want to start because what I love is that I feel like the world's just getting to learn about you even more and more and more and more right now. And that's very exciting.
Yeah. I mean, so, you know, I've been blessed enough to be kicking around this town, or this business rather, for about 20 years. I mean, almost exactly. I started auditioning for film and television when I was 18. It was April of 1999, and now it's April of 2019. And it's been a crazy 20 years. I mean, this town can be incredibly exciting. It can also be incredibly dark, a very difficult place to try and find yourself, particularly when you don't know that you're trying to find yourself, as I've come to find out. So to be here now, and, you know, I mean, I've always had a really blessed career in that I started working pretty much right away when I was about 18. I started booking gigs. And I've been able to build, some bit of, I don't know, a social awareness, or people. I've been living in the public eye to some extent, but this is a whole nother level of what that is. And I'll say, man, I think the timing of all of it, and we can get, into more details of it, obviously, but it's one of the things I talk about so much on my social media is mental health and loving oneself and, self-love, self-care. And those are things I didn't really quite understand until I didn't want to live anymore a few years ago, and then went and did a super deep dive into therapy and, had a ton of work that I was doing with psychiatrists and psychotherapists, dialectic behavioral therapy, art therapy, meditation therapy, life coaching, like going into the gym, meditation and prayer, and my friends and family loving me through all of that, and really just saving my own life. And on the heels of that, I got this job. And that is no coincidence as far as I'm concerned. I think that as a deeply spiritual person who believes in a creator, I believe that this was all waiting to happen, perhaps as things time out in the way that they do. I think that they do in very big ways and meaningful ways. And I think that the timing of me being able to now have this platform is directly tied to the work that I went and did on my life, so that I can now talk about that work and talk about the importance of it. And it's awesome, man. I'm really grateful that not only that I have this incredible new job and that it's changing my life on a daily basis. I mean, I still walk around and, most people don't know who the heck I am. That's totally, most of the time I've lived in a reasonable anonymity most of my career, which has been quite an amazing blessing, because I don't know what it's like to be Brad Pitt. I don't know what it's like to be Tom Cruise. I don't know what it's like to not be able to go anywhere without people mobbing you or whatever. Or if people do, I don't know. Maybe Tom Cruise walks around and people don't mob him either. I have no idea. Maybe, with the right set of sunglasses and a hat, you're good. But I've always believed that you be grateful for what you have when you have it. I appreciated that anonymity. If I lose some of that moving into this next phase of my life, then so be it. I'm happy for the trade-off to be able to now have more of a platform to be able to speak love into the world, because I think I do believe that God created me to do what I'm doing, to be an entertainer. I think I have a specific skill set, and I've always had this skill set. Even since I was a little kid, I was very good at entertaining people and could keep growing at it and figuring it out in ways that I couldn't grow and figure out other things in my life. Still trying to figure out how to be a better basketball player. But to be able to believe that I was created to do that is one thing, but after having gone through all the therapy and the life-saving stuff that I've done and learned, and the self-love that I've learned, I really believe more than that. I think God created me to hopefully just be, or really has created all of us to be conduits of love, conduits of life, conduits of light. And if we can get through our own traumas and our own pain and our own injuries and find healing in that, then it allows us to be even stronger, more efficacious conduits. And so, yeah, I don't know. It's all very cool. I just daily feel like a deep gratitude, like to the point where I just start crying sometimes, and it's incredible to go from a place where I felt such deep despair and I was crying from despair to now feeling like I just tear up, feeling nothing but like the deepest of peace and joy and I mean, even now, even just talking about it, I just get overwhelmed. I'm like, I can't believe that this is my life right now. It's so cool.
That's awesome, man. That's beautiful. We're 3 minutes in, and Zachary Levi is already talking about self-love.
Hell yeah, man.
Mental health, going deep in life, talking about humanity. I love that, and I'm so glad that we've started there. Like, this is brilliant. Like, usually I'm like, okay, like we're like crescendo, like we're moving
How
through.
do I get this out of them? Yeah.
And like, here we go with Zach, and it's like we're 3 minutes in, and you're already saying everything that I know everyone who's listening right now will absolutely fall in love with you, because that's what this is about. Like this whole community is about that. Now, I want to, what's beautiful about what you've just done for us is you've kind of laid out all the things I want to dive into
let's do
today.
Yeah.
So I love that because everyone's got a feel for who you are now already.
Sure.
And I want you to be able to tell that story in depth because I'm guessing, and I love what you said there, that when you were crying out of despair and now you're crying out of gratitude, those two different, I'm also guessing that because of your faith, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I'm also guessing that because of your faith, because of your search for meaning in your own life, that even those tears, how far were they from helplessness versus how far were they hopeful? Like where were you in that space when you were really in that middle? How much were they helpless, but how much were they full of hope?
I don't know. I mean, to be honest, most of my life I've been a pretty optimistic and hopeful person, but there have been seasons of life that have just destroyed me. And sometimes I wasn't even aware that they were destroying me. In fact, I think a lot of the times we're not really aware of the destruction that's going on. And a lot of that we play a big part in. I think a lot of the destruction that we feel in our life is self-motivated, is self-destructive. We don't know that we're doing that. We're trying to feel like we belong, that we have worth. I think from literally the minute we come into this world, I mean, even though we're not quite aware of it when we're that young, but we're looking for cues from our parents. We're looking for cues from our friends, our family, our school, our society. Who am I? Do I have worth in this world? And unfortunately, I think most people's parents are not qualified to be able to even help them truly understand a lot of these concepts because they were never taught, which then makes all mental health, as far as I'm concerned, a completely generational thing. These are just handed down year after year after year. So I think that I was given a strong enough will and spirit and ego, if you will, talking about like sapiens and all that, like the ego that we build, which is our survival mechanism, and we get banged around and it's denting us and it's forming this thing. But, I survived and I survived pretty well. And I found entertainment as a way of survival. I found love through entertainment. If I could make somebody laugh, and I could get those applause, I was like, oh, there's my purpose. I have value now because I can make this person applaud or give them a good time or whatever. But, when the applause dies down, it becomes a very lonely life. And then you try to fill that loneliness with in all manner of things. So I think for a long time, though I was optimistic and though my faith, which is kind of rooted mainly in Christianity, although I would say my Christianity feels much more Buddhist than Baptist, I think that I always had faith, a deep faith, and therefore a deep hope with that faith. But under all of that, even, or let's say above all of that, I don't know which current was, which one's sitting on the other, but there was a tremendous amount of despair. There's a tremendous amount of hopelessness, because I still didn't quite understand what it meant to just love myself. And I think that's honestly, that's why I can't stop talking about it, because after having gone through what I've gone through, I really genuinely believe that it's probably the biggest root issue that we have in the world.
Amen. Absolutely.
World leaders right now, pick a country. Our country, here, other places, there are people who are in positions of power, and they're in positions of power because they've been chasing worth. Mm-hmm. They don't know how bereft they are of their own self-worth. They have been flexing power and, making moves and feeling, oh, if I make enough money, if I have enough power and if I have enough money, look at some of the biggest, CEOs or most, wealthy people in the world. I think they're probably some of, and you hear these things all the time, like, well, the most successful people in the world are some of the loneliest or whatever. And you go, yeah, great. I would take billions of dollars over, whatever the alternative is. But I really do think that so many of them, even though they might not even realize it, are hopeless. They don't realize that they are terrified deep down inside that even their billions or trillions or whatever they've got, it's still not going to give them any actual real value going into whatever is beyond this world, or even while you're here in this world, you know? So anyway, that was a little bit of a tangent, but going back though, what I was experiencing, although again, like you unpack a lot of this stuff in therapy, but you know, I grew up in a home where my mom was a beautiful and crazy intelligent, vibrant, dynamic woman who honestly probably could have done anything. She could have been a CEO of a Fortune 500. She could have been a doctor, a lawyer, whatever. She was an incredible force that unfortunately was, you know, that grew up in a home where her mother psychologically abused her and her siblings. And we knew that a little bit growing up, but, you know, you just hear mom, you know, honestly, just like yelling about how her mom was such a horrible mom. And it's a difficult thing when you're growing up now with a mom who didn't understand the damage that did to her. And so she just carried on that abuse. And she was very psychologically abusive to me and my sisters, not knowing that she was. And that was one of the biggest things I learned in therapy was as I was forgiving myself and understanding how to forgive my mom, because I just started visualizing the 5-year-old version of my mom getting, you know, hit or literally left on the side of the road when they were, you know, on some family road trip, and my grandma was mad at her and was like, kicked her out of the car and left her there for hours. And you start realizing how much trauma, like we all experience trauma. Trauma isn't just like some really crazy hardcore thing that like, oh, you got like blunt force trauma to the head. I mean, we're dealing with these things on a regular basis, on a daily basis sometimes. And my mom was madly traumatized by my grandmother, and she never went and got the help that she needed to get. And so that just got worse and worse and worse and worse. And the life that I grew up with in my family really, really messed me up, more so than I ever gave it credit for, because my ego was strong enough to keep me going. It kept me going. I was surviving and I was surviving. It's incredible how evolutionarily we've been able to create this whole persona and survive through this stuff. But as a lot of people will tell you, and whether that's like a midlife crisis or whatever it is, you know, you get to a place, and mine was, you know, I basically got to, I had a gnarly childhood growing up. I didn't realize just how much that affected me and my ability to love myself and therefore love others. I ended up getting married and divorced in a very short amount of time to a girl that I thought I was deeply, madly in love with, and I still have a tremendous amount of love for. But we were two, I think, broken people, you know, finding each other, which is what happens in a lot of relationships, I think. Because if you haven't done the self-work and you don't know that you needed to do that self-work, then you're going to keep attracting the wrong person, and they're going to be attracting you as the wrong person, and so on and so forth. And so then I ended up getting, that was a really, really dark period of my life. And then I got divorced. And then months later, you know, within the same year, my mom died very unexpectedly, although she and I didn't really have a relationship for about 10 years by that point. And it was really, you know, and I mourned for a couple of days when she died. But I then kind of, you know, I was okay, or I thought I was okay. I thought I had dealt with it. And then, you know, work this business. Again, it's a really gnarly business, and it can really knock you around and beat you up. And then I made this move to Texas because I've had all of these crazy, amazing dreams of, well, I think amazing. Who knows if they pan out? But to go build, I mean, to go build a film studio that's also a resort, that's also a commune, that's also like literally, I want to make a better world. And I think that we can do that if we all want it. And we have to just want it bad enough. And I think that if you have a platform to maybe go and try and do that, and you've got some means and some finances to go and maybe build a new type of community that can be an example of how we can get back to knowing each other and loving each other and trusting each other and communing again with one another and knowing your neighbor, and, you know, kids running around and parents not feeling like they have to helicopter parent them all the time and all of that stuff. So anyway, that all brought me to Texas. But then I got there, and then I felt, after many years of feeling very optimistic and feeling a deep faith, I felt quite abandoned by God, to be honest. I felt like all of the things that led me there then left me alone and left me sitting alone and very deeply hopeless. And that was right around my 37th birthday. And I didn't really understand what the point of life was anymore. I felt like I had fought really hard to go and be a good person, to go and love people, to be an example, to try and use my platform and privilege for good. And I felt like all of that amounted to me now being completely alone and completely hopeless. And thank God, I had friends and family that were there and kind of holding my hand and propping me up through some really, really dark moments and times. And then I found this place that I think was essentially initially created to be a place where CEOs of very large companies that were dealing with major burnout, major depression, major anxieties, could go and just, get some major deep healing. And I went, and it was 3 weeks of just like the most intense. I got there and, I fell through the door of that place. It was like, I got to 37 and I just fell through the door of therapy. And I said, I don't know who I am, or I don't think I know who I am, because I don't know how it got me here. So I need to know who I am, and I need to know how I got here. And I need to make sure that never happens again, because I don't want to die, but I don't understand why I should keep living. And through all of those things that I was saying earlier, all those various forms of therapy and psychiatry and again, like, doing yoga twice a week and Pilates twice a week and at the gym 4 days, because that's all incredibly crucial to our mental and emotional well-being. Those things all essentially, and the prayer of this, particularly this one woman who I don't think it's any coincidence that God has brought these people into my life throughout my journey, but there have been women, older maternal women, that have come along through my journey that have been those surrogate mothers for me when my mother wasn't my mother and couldn't be my mother. And this woman prayed me back to life. And between that and all of the tools that I was learning about, learning about how bad my self-talk was, that's something that I don't think a lot of people even quite understand, how important it is of how you speak to yourself.
Let's dive into that.
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's dive into that. No, and when I'm listening to you,
sorry, by the way, I am incredibly verbose and tangential, FYI.
It's great.
So I'll just keep going unless you.
It's great. No, and I won't, because I love listening, because I think that's important too.
Sure, it is.
I think as much as it is important for me to guide, I also like to listen and see where you're taking it, because, and this is advice to anyone who's listening to a friend or a family member. You learn more when you listen. Yeah. And I'm learning so much more about you than I could have ever gained if I was talking, sure. which is awesome. When I'm listening to you, though, what I find is that today I'm sitting in front of someone who I find is extremely passionate, feels that they're living their calling, feels that they're doing what they were born to do, which is very different from the self that you're displaying or sharing that you were before. Yeah. And so what I want to dive into, we'll dive into the self-talk too, but what I want to dive into is, let's take you back to that 6-year-old boy who was getting excited by dance, singing, acting, but at the same time had this home experience that you were describing with your mother at the time. Yeah. Is that when singing, dancing, and acting became that outlet, became that expression, became that connect, which you weren't getting at home? Is that when it was, or was it actually just something that came naturally?
I mean, I think I can't imagine that there's not some correlation to what my childhood was and then ultimately where I found outlet. I was the middle boy between two sisters. My dad wasn't in the picture. I was literally just like floating in a sea of estrogen. Like, it was my sisters, my mom, my two aunts, my cousin Nikki, who's like our third sister, my grandma. Family outings were, going to JCPenney's and shopping. I mean, that's what it felt like. And so as a middle kid, you're looking to, have a voice and have an identity of your own. That's one thing. Being the only boy, I was constantly having to kind of create my own worlds of imagination and entertainment and not really having parents. Like, my dad was gone. My mom God bless her and God rest her soul, she had a lot of issues and she wasn't the best. She was really incredible as a mom in some respects, and I'm really grateful for those things that she did. For example, like she was way ahead of the curve when it came to like a naturopathic lifestyle. We were taking vitamins and like barley green and not having sugared cereal or soda when we were kids. And when now all the other kids are like, you don't have Cocoa Puffs? And I was like, I know, it's the worst. But I'm so grateful that my mom knew and cared about all that stuff well before the curve, because I don't now have problems dealing with my sugar levels and obesity in ways that a lot of other people have been addicted to this stuff for so long, because sugar is a crazy addiction. Anyway, again, tangential. But so, yeah, man, I think I was always just trying to, and I always had like a super vibrant imagination, and I was a super, super energetic, spazzy kid. So all of those things just, and then because we didn't really have a tremendous amount of, let's say, parental supervision or whatever, you know, the television became, and then also my video games through the television became worlds that I explored and lived in and loved. And so I was already being influenced by all of my favorite cartoons and TV shows, and those became, I don't know that they were my friends necessarily, but I loved them and I wanted to emulate them and I wanted to be a part of them. So all of those things, I think, kind of put me into the place for that. Having a household where though I didn't know it at the time, where I didn't understand self-love, where I didn't know that I wasn't feeling fully loved or fully worthy of the life that I was living as a kid. These are all very subconscious things. But certainly I'm sure that led to part of me going and wanting to find that in strangers, find that in the approval, literally the approval of people going and sitting in seats in a theater and applauding me at the end of a play or laughing at the jokes throughout it. That all of a sudden, like I was saying before, gave me not just an outlet for all of this other stuff, but it gave me the validation that I so desperately was seeking and needing, which is, by the way, what almost every actor that comes to Hollywood is dealing with on some level. Because why the heck else are you trying to go and make all these strangers
And how do we
happy?
balance that? Like, I love the fact that we're talking about this, because how do we balance that? So we all love, from a genuine place, also making other people happy.
Yeah.
We all need appreciation in our life. We all need to feel some level of significance and some level that we matter, that our work and our words has an impact on others.
Yeah.
Where have you found that balance between not letting other people's opinions and approval lead or mislead you, versus when is it right and okay to feel that? Like, do you get what I'm saying?
Oh,
like,
I totally.
Like,
I mean,
I want to hear your thought process. Like, where are you finding that balance between knowing that we all, like, it's the same with me. Like, when I make a video, of course I want people to connect with it. Of course I want people to resonate with it, because that's also my service. It's my offering. It's where I get to be an instrument, and it's where I get to feel useful.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you only let the likes and the views and the shares and the reviews of movies guide how you feel about yourself, that's where I found it. That's my balance. It's like I should know how I feel about. So I say happiness or self-love to me, and I'd love to your definition.
Yeah.
My definition of self-love is how I feel about myself when I'm by myself.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's my definition
Can
of
you hang out with
self-love.
yourself?
Yes.
Yeah.
What's your definition of self-love, and how does it start?
Well, I think similar. I think probably very similar. I mean, I didn't realize how much I didn't like hanging out with myself until I went to this really incredible life-saving therapy. I thought I did. I mean, people would talk about self-love all the time. I was like, I love me. I'm good with me. I feel good, you know, but I didn't realize that when I would be quiet, when I would just be with me, I was always looking for I would go play video games, you know, but that's not really spending time with yourself. That you're now a simulated version of you in some cool world on another planet shooting aliens or whatever, but that's not really spending time with yourself. No. But I've always been a very, very deep thinker and feeler. So I've spent a lot of time in thought. It just wouldn't necessarily be about me, and it wouldn't be kind to me. My self-talk, again, that I thought was just normal, when I would screw up, when I wouldn't do things the way that I thought they should be done, and this was all based on the way I was programmed, bad programming by my parents, I would destroy myself in my mind. And when I talked to these folks in therapy and they were like, why do you talk to yourself that way? And I go, well, because this, that, and the other. And they go, well, would you ever, if your friend did something that you thought wasn't great, would you talk to them that way? And I was like, I would never talk to them that way. And then why would you talk to yourself that way?
100%.
And I don't know why I'd never put that together, but it leveled me. I was like, I guess because I genuinely don't like myself. I genuinely don't love myself. So what self-love is, I mean, it's a very difficult thing to kind of define, I suppose, but because there's so much around it. But I would say that to love yourself is to hopefully, finally, and by the way, and it's a daily thing because we can go back and forth on it, right? It's not like, oh, that's solved and we're done and we can move on. It's a process, it's a journey, and you always have to check in with yourself. And I think that, for me, it's been a matter of, one of the things I spend time in prayer in the morning and I spend time in prayer at night, and that's kind of my meditative time as well. And and a regular part of those prayers is thanking God for my heart, my mind, and my body, because these are all things that I have ridiculed in various ways over the years and not embraced and not been grateful for. Gratitude is one of, to me, the most powerful balms for your soul, for your heart, for your mind, to start with that and to say, wherever I'm at right now, thank you for who I am and where I'm at. And to appreciate that and be okay with where you are right now. If you can be okay with where you are right now, you can really start to love yourself. If you're not okay with where you are right now, it's very difficult to then love yourself, because they're working, they're contradicting one another, and how to balance that. I mean, one of the things, and I've never, I don't have like notifications on my social media. I've never, I started social media at a time where I was already living in the public eye. So that's, you kind of get inundated, with that many followers. And so fortunately, I've never lived, my world has never been one where I was constantly looking for the likes. I always, even when I was unhealthy and didn't know it, I always knew in the back of my mind that's not a healthy way to be living your life. You can't, if you're posting things and you're constantly checking to see who checked in and who liked it and whatever. And by the way, not that I'm completely faultless and all that. Certainly there's times I'll post something and I'll go back and say, I wonder who's chimed in or whatever, but I have never found my worth there. But I have definitely tried, I've looked for and found my worth in my work, how am I doing good work? I mean, I thought I was failing my life for a long time because all of the jobs that I had done never really put me into the next echelon or, that higher level where I was with all the cool kids, doing all the cool kid movies and a part of those conversations. I just always felt like I was on the outside looking in. And that wrecked me on a regular basis. I always felt like I wasn't doing something right, or I wasn't good enough, or...
And I think that's the question. Like when I'm listening to you, that's the question to me. It's when you're doing something, do you feel fulfilled by doing it in and of itself? Or are you only gaining fulfillment when someone applauds? Right? Like that's that differentiation, that self-awareness. And for me, self-awareness is like the heart of self-love.
Yeah.
Because just getting to that point.
To know yourself. To love yourself.
Yeah, to know yourself first and then to love yourself, because you can't love someone you don't know.
No.
Right? Like I can't say... Go on.
I know what you're saying, and I agree. I don't know that you can't fully appreciate or love. To fully love yourself means to love even all of the failure.
Correct.
Even all of it. Exactly.
Yeah.
But I do think on a general, broad philosophical sense, we 100% can and need to love those that we don't know.
Oh, that 100%. 100%.
That's all.
No, I 100%. From a humanity standpoint, I'll give you an example of what I mean. Like today you walk through the door.
Yeah.
And I love you for being a human, and I love you for what I've learned about you
Nice.
in preparing for this.
Ditto.
100%. But I can't love you fully because I haven't got to know you. Whereas the more I get to know you in this interview, the more I fall in love with you.
Thanks.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, and that's what I mean, that even with ourselves.
Knowledge makes the love deeper.
Correct.
For
That's
sure,
what I mean.
For
Yeah,
sure.
that's where I'm coming from. Like
yeah.
when you're subconsciously.
Well, that's
just
empathy.
yeah, exactly.
That's empathy, you know, but again, and how interesting though is that then take it another step, which is certainly the more you might get to know somebody, the deeper you can love them. But that's only if that's only predicated on how deep you know and love yourself first.
Correct. 100%.
Which is so, like, I really thought I was somebody who loved people really deeply. And I did, by the way. I've always been I'm so grateful that he gave me a heart that, for a long time, by the way, really screwed with a lot of parts of my life. It made me a very sensitive a kid that, you know, I would get really wrecked about certain things that would happen in the world that had nothing to do with me. And I would literally feel the pain of people in other parts of the world. Or, I mean, to be perfectly honest, like India, for example, I can't wait to go to India. And I'm also dreading going to India because there's a part of me that feels like I'm going to go walk around in those streets and I will be devastated because I will see these kids and these lower castes and I will be like, where is the justice? Where is the love for these people? Where's the love for the unlovable? That stuff just wrecks me. But I have always had a deep love for people. I didn't realize how much deeper I could love people. And by the way, and not even deeper, but also in healthier, more focused ways. If you're just raw love and you're just feeling, that can be powerful, but you're not perhaps accomplishing as much as you could with that love. And if you can go and then work on yourself and tighten all this and get this strong, and then not just be overwhelmed and screwed up every time something happens, then you can have more of an even, steady, focused, strong, effective love, I think, in the world. And that's where I think I'm now hopefully going into that phase of my life, coupled with wherever my platform might lead me. But but you had said something earlier and I'm trying to remember what.
Take your time.
No. Well, I can't. What we were talking about knowing yourself, loving yourself. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I'll think of it if we come back to it.
And that's what I think everyone who's listening right now, I think, is going to take a lot of confidence from the fact that the way you're opening up, the way you're sharing your journey and challenges and everything, I'm hoping that everyone who's listening or watching right now is listening going, oh my God, I'm there too, or I've been there too. And this is a common experience across the board. Like getting to a point in life and going, I don't know who I am. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know if I love myself. Like these are all such normal things that we're all going through.
Everyone.
And you reminded me when you were mentioning this point about being in your solitude in space, this study that I love that I share that talks about how when men and women were given the choice of either being alone with their thoughts for 15 minutes or give themselves an electric shock, and 60% of men chose an electric shock. And 30% of women chose an electric shock. And when they were asked afterwards, it was because they didn't want to be alone with their thoughts. So we're all in that. So now I want to dive into, everyone who's listening right now, we've all been there. We all find distractions, whether it's video games, whether it's movies, whether it's Netflix, whatever it is, we're all trying to find distractions. Relationships.
Everything. Oh my God. Relationships is one of the biggest.
Definitely. I just made a video a couple of weeks ago where I was talking about if you find someone in your loneliness, you often attract emptiness. Right? Because you've got that in you and therefore that attracts back. So I want to dive into you because meditation, prayer, and therapy are three tools that you really live by and stand by. I want to hear about each of those from you, including the self-talk element of how those key foundational principles, and you mentioned yoga and Pilates earlier too. I just want to hear about those kind of like building blocks that have helped you change and transform and grow.
I mean, so therapy to me was probably the most important initial part of it all, because you can do a lot of meditation and prayer, but if you're like in Japan, you know how in Japan there's this tradition of if a bowl breaks, they put it back together with gold, right? And you can see the veins of gold and really makes it a beautiful piece. You don't just throw the bowl away; you put it all back together. So I feel like the therapy was the gold that was putting it all, galvanizing me back together, making me whole again. And again, supplemented by and helped by the meditation and prayer around that. But if your head's not right, if you don't see reality the way that reality actually is, and therefore, and who you are and how you fit into reality, prayer and meditation are going to help treat symptoms, but I don't know that they're going to get to the root of digging up all of that bad programming, you know? Moreover, I don't mean this to be offensive to anyone. In fact, I find it to be quite inclusive. We're all mentally ill. I personally feel like mental health is something we all deal with. We all have it. We unfortunately look at mental health. If we put health with physical health, nobody has any problems talking about any of it. In fact, there's a whole broad spectrum. Physical health is anywhere, or like if you're physically ill, that can mean anything from the common cold to cancer. And if you say that I'm ill, no one's like, oh God, they're going, oh gosh, what's going on with you? There's not a stigma that's necessarily attached to that. Nobody's judging you necessarily for what's going on in your physical well-being. All of a sudden, you switch out mental for physical, and you say mental illness. And the only thing now, thank God, we're coming to a much better place in society. But for the longest time, mental illness was straitjacket, rubber room, you're crazy, that's it. Mm-hmm. We have to start reassessing that massively and understand that to be mentally ill, to use I think a dental analogy probably is the best I've come up with. All of us have cavities from time to time. Mm-hmm. All of us deal with mental illness, little cavities in our heads. And that can be literally how you start your day, and you pass somebody on the street and they did a thing and that affected you, and now you're allowing it to affect you, and now that started a little cavity in your brain, and you got to root that thing out. And for some of us, we're much better at being able to attend to that stuff. Sometimes we don't, and then that cavity becomes a much bigger cavity, and then all of a sudden you need a root canal. Some of us out there in the world, I needed a major root canal. The way that I saw myself and the way that I saw how I fit into this world needed to be rooted out of my brain big time. Mm-hmm. So as soon as I could do that, going back to the dental analogy, once the dentist could get in there and clean all that crap out and then, fix that and seal that, well, then it was a matter of maintaining that and loving myself and through all of that. And that's where I find the meditation and prayer. And I kind of, to me, prayer and meditation are kind of synonymous. My prayer time is my meditative time. Occasionally I will do actual just straight, kind of mindfulness meditation or centering prayer, which is very similar, where you either just focus on your breath or you focus on one word and you kind of have that mantra and you go through that to really just calm it all down, calm the mechanism, because we live in a world that is so go, 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 and it is completely not what our biological evolutionary kind of path has been. I mean, we were hunter-gatherers going back to like Yuval and Sapiens and stuff like that. By the way, reading that book helped me, because that context and perspective, I think, is so important in understanding who you are and how you fit into this world.
And why you got there.
Exactly. So I will still have some actual meditation, like proper meditation, but my prayer time coming before the Creator and on my knees and asking to be able to walk always in humility, gratitude, and trust. Those three words are to me, the foundation and cornerstone of my entire life. And
me too.
Yeah, man.
Love that.
Yeah, man. In fact, I was thinking about getting HGT tattooed somewhere on me. I don't know. I'm still working on it. I don't have any tattoos, but I think I might at some point. But
I think that's an awesome description.
Thanks, man.
I love that. I love the dental analogy.
Oh, yeah.
I love it. I think it's brilliant. And I think what you're saying is so true, that we sometimes think of meditation and prayer as the be all and end all of our transformation. Yeah. But actually, initially, it requires that step of really uprooting, really rewiring the ego, doing the work of just
killing the ego,
deepest self-reflection.
Yeah.
And meditation and prayer, of course, aid that.
Yeah.
But then they become that they become that momentum that keeps it going, right? They're the daily cleaning. They're the daily cleansing.
And some
daily
people, by the way,
purifying.
and some people are really blessed where they grow up in a household where their parents gave them a great foundation of mental health. They gave them a great foundation of knowing that they're loved completely unconditionally right? Unconditionally, yeah.
Unconditionally, yeah.
I was like, all of a sudden I was like, wait, what is that definition? Where it didn't matter if they, in my home, if I accidentally dropped a glass and it broke on the ground, if my mom, who, as it turned out, was a borderline personality, if my mom happened to be in a good mood, it was like, oh, that's fine, honey. If she was in a bad mood, it was the end of the world. Now, I didn't realize that every time she snapped at us and yelled at us or smacked us or whatever that was, I mean, not like smacked us, but, would give us a swat on the ass or something. Those things were all leading me to having literal trauma switches in my head, so that every time I drop a glass and break something, I beat the shit out of myself. I beat myself up when I would do that. So I needed to, those are all those little things where I needed to reprogram, literally rewire the operating system that my mom had given me when I was a kid. I needed an updated operating system. And I think that's what therapy really hopefully allows us to do. If you're born into a home where you're given a pretty good operating system, then meditation and prayer may be all you need, at least for quite some time, until you maybe have more trauma or more abuse or whatever, where you need some more help. But for me, the therapy helped to clean that, uproot that, all that. And the daily practice of going and literally falling before God and just wanting to remain in reality, knowing who I am, knowing that my worth has nothing to do with how successful I become or don't become, that there is purpose for me in this world. And that's where I think the trust part comes in. If you're not a very spiritual person or you don't believe in a creator or a higher being or whatever, perhaps you trust in something else. I don't know. For me, it's a matter of trusting that I don't have all the answers. I don't know where my journey is going to go. I don't know how I'm going to be used in this world and in this life, but I'm going to trust that as long as I keep doing this work, the only important work, that if I do this, then everything else will happen the way that it's supposed to happen. And that gives me a tremendous amount of peace throughout the journey as well.
Yeah, I love that, man. And I think you're right. I think we all need to trust timing, the process, universe.
Oh my gosh.
Creator, you have to find patience, right? That you've been living in your life. And I definitely know that in my life too. When I went off to become a monk at 22, and the reaction from all my friends and family was, well, you're never going to get a job again. You're going to be years behind. And and all of those things of well, where's your future going to go?
Yeah.
And for me, it was, no, I trust that this is the best investment of my time, that this time that I'm going to be spending in meditation and self-growth and awareness and destruction of my ego and all of that is the best thing I could be doing right now.
Yeah.
And almost all we can do is trust the present and trust what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
Because we all don't know what's going to happen in 5, 10, 15 years.
No. And in fact, it's so, it's easy for me to say. I'm in a position now where I'm literally living in some of the most rarefied air that anyone could ever live in, to be, the titular role in a superhero franchise, and this 20 years of incredibly blessed life. It's not lost on me that people say, man, I'm so happy for you. You really deserve it. And I'm always like, I appreciate that. And I know what you mean by the sentiment, but I actually disagree, because I don't know that anybody deserves this. I mean, look at all the incredible people that have unbelievable hearts and minds that are living in third world countries that have nothing. They deserve it. Those people are doing everything that they can just to survive. So I don't know that anybody deserves any of this, but had I known what my life was going to be like right now, a year and a half ago, before, if somehow, the crystal ball said, oh, don't worry, all the things you're worrying about right now, no, don't worry, because what's going to happen is you're going to do this and that's going to happen, blah, 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 and now you're going to be there. Well, that would have been pretty incredible. But would have been even better is if, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, I would have just known to trust, to be patient with where this is going, because I wouldn't change anything. A year and a half ago, there's so many things in my past in my past that I would have changed in order to maneuver to get somewhere that I felt like would have been a better place for my life. But now that I am where I am, where I'm sitting, I literally wouldn't have changed anything. I wouldn't have changed the trauma that my mom put me through. I wouldn't change anything about the abuse that I went through, because had I not gone through that, then I wouldn't be able to sit here literally right now talking to you and hopefully talking to people out there and saying, you're okay, we're okay, we can get through this. This is something that we all are dealing with. It's unfortunate that abuse and trauma and mental illness are being passed down generationally, but it can be helped. It can be fixed. We can love ourselves and we can love each other. We can go make the world so groovy if we can just get this out. And I wouldn't be able to talk about it as deeply or as passionately or as authentically had I not gone through all of that stuff prior,
100%. I couldn't agree more.
And being patient with that,
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I'm so glad you've driven that. I mean, you're like on fire right now, by the way. It's so great to hear you drive that message home, because I feel all of us need to be open to the plan. Like, you can get to where you want in life, just not in the way you imagine it.
Yeah.
And that's the challenge, that because it doesn't look like your imagination, you don't want to walk down that road.
Yeah.
Right? It's like you want, right? You want it to look this perfect way or a certain way. And I've done that in my life, where I thought that success or happiness looked like this. And then when what I was faced with was completely the opposite, it was scary to walk down that path. And the same as what you're saying, like, I don't think we want to blame this on our parents. I don't think we want to blame it on, and I don't hear that from you at all.
Yeah.
You don't want to blame it on any of those things, because those building blocks are going to give you the journey you need to help more people too.
Hopefully.
Because this is going to be a common experience.
Yeah.
It's going to be a shared experience.
Yeah.
And you can only help someone if you've been there before.
Well, and that's why it's important, I think, that people, particularly when it comes to mental health, we need to be brave enough to be vulnerable enough with our journey and our testimony.
Well, you're doing it, man.
I appreciate that, but it's not even. I don't even feel like it's an option. It is completely like it's God. It is. I literally, like, it excites me so much that I personally have gone through what I've gone through in order to be able to go talk about this stuff, because there are so many people out there look, I see them on Twitter and on Instagram on a regular basis, people that are going through so much, that are feeling quite lost, quite alone. And that's why I spend as much time as I do on my social media, because I feel like, yes, it's on one hand, one of the most destructive things that's ever come across all of us. We get lost in it. It's creating mental illness in a lot of people, but we can use it for such powerful good, and being able to reach out and say, yes, I deal with this. I have dealt with this. And by the way, we're all dealing with it. Everyone is dealing with it. Like, no one is immune to, well, maybe the Dalai Lama. I don't know. But you know what I mean? Like, because this is how our brains work. This is how our hearts work.
The wiring is so old school. Right? Like, as in, it's so embedded into the way we're wired that it takes time to unwire that and unravel that. Yeah. Like, if something's happened for thousands of years, right? Yeah. It's going to take a considerable amount of time to rewire that. Yeah. It's like, you don't just unwire something. If something's been tangled in your closet for days, how long does it take? Or if your room's been messy and unclean, you just throw it out. Yeah, exactly. Which you can't do with yourself, and you don't want to do with yourself. And so, And I love how open you've been about it. A few interviews that we looked at and saw with you talking about how, comparison on social media and comparing yourself to your peers, which is such a big thing. And you were open about the fact that when your character first gets killed off in Thor, and talking about how, like, that felt like a bad moment, but actually now, with what you're getting to do, you realize that actually it was just preparing you for something much bigger.
Exactly.
Right?
This is exactly why, you're going back to what we were talking about patience and trust. Trusting that even though you might not understand or agree with what is happening in your life right now, if you're not trusting, you're flailing. That's where anger can come in. That's where doubt comes in. That's where fear comes in. That's where anxiety comes in. I didn't realize how much anxiety I dealt with probably my entire life. I didn't know that feeling that I felt on a regular basis was anxiety until I went to therapy, and I was like, oh my God, that's what anxiety, this is what I've been dealing with for so long. Had I known, like, when I was doing that last Thor, it was a bummer. I mean, I felt like I was so stoked that I made it into the superhero world, and then just to kind of, for it to do that. Like there wasn't much to do. And I was definitely feeling a little salty and a little down on myself and a little like, okay, well, I guess that's it. I guess I'll have to pivot and figure out something else in my career or whatever that's going to be. But again, had I known that, if anybody's like, no, Zach, don't worry about it, because you're gonna die here. But then in 2 years from now, that means that you're just gonna be reborn in the DC universe. I mean, obviously that would have made me feel much better back then, but I don't think that's how life works. Because if we know what is going to come, then we don't ultimately appreciate what that's going to be. We need to go through these valleys in order to appreciate those mountaintops.
100%. And we don't grow to become that in the best way either.
And you don't get the growth.
Yeah.
If you don't go through the hardship where you have to actually come to the end of yourself and trust and be patient and know that I don't know what's coming, but I'm going to be grateful for what I have and I will trust in where this path is leading me, then you don't get the growth. And the growth is the most important part. You could become the biggest, most famous, most rich person in the world, but if you have not grown during any of that, then all of it's meaningless. I want to be, you said earlier, I love the alliteration. I don't know if you use it when you start every interview, but what was it? Enlightened, enlivened, and there was another word you said that I can't remember.
Educated or empowered?
Educated, yeah, all of educated and empowered. All of those things. That is the real richness, the riches of life. Like I know it might even sound a little trite, somebody in my position saying like, it's not about the fame or the popularity or whatever, because I'm somebody who now has that and has had that and has done very well financially in my life. And I'm not saying, and I'd give it all up if I could, but in some ways, yeah, I suppose I would. In some ways, there's deep down in me to know the depth of the joy and the peace and the gratitude that I feel now on the other side of the darkness because of the darkness.
Yeah.
If I didn't experience that darkness, if I didn't ever sit in my room literally crying out to God to help me, to save me, to show me the way because I was so lost, what I feel today, I wouldn't be feeling. You get to the place, and it's not even the destination. I mean, because it's still the journey. We're still journeying. And by the way, who knows? I could walk out of here and get hit by a car, and that's it. I could live 10.
Man.
Well, yeah, I mean, neither. But I mean, I think it's important to always be aware that, I think that we are both infinitely valuable and entirely unimportant.
Yeah,
if that makes any sense. You know what I mean?
Invaluable and insignificant.
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
100%.
And if we can always maintain that and know that right now, right here is all we actually have, and to keep digging into the depth of the right here and the right now, which is why one of the reasons I'm so grateful that we're having this conversation, because this is a right here, right now. Let's be present and let's talk about what really matters. I can go talk about Shazam all day long, and I'm grateful that we got to make an incredible movie that is really genuinely bringing people so much joy. But that's all the trappings of what the most important stuff is, which is let's go heal the world. Let's go make this place. Let's go teach more empathy. Let's go feel more empathy. I mean, you were talking about earlier about the knowing how much more deeply we can love someone when we know someone. I mean, that's empathy. Oh God, I just
I love it.
It's the best.
I love it. I want to, we always do a final five at the end of every interview.
Yeah.
But before we do that, I do want to talk about Shazam, because what I loved is you were talking about how you felt like you got to play yourself.
In some ways,
of the childlike, man-child element to the role and character. I'm excited to go and see it this week.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to it. But tell me about that playful aspect of you and that joy that people are going to feel through you being able to be part of yourself.
Yeah, I mean, look, I've always been, like I said, like a super energetic spaz of a kid, and that's never really left me. And when I was about 4, I realized that I could intentionally make somebody laugh, and if they laughed, they felt good, and that made me feel good. Even aside from the applause or whatever, I loved making people feel joy. I loved it. It's the greatest drug in the world, and I feel like genuinely, like when I do Broadway or whatever, like I feel like I'm literally living out my purpose. And when you feel like you're living out your purpose, it is the most fulfilling thing ever, more than anything. But part of that, and I think also just part of working in this business, you get to hopefully use your imagination and should use your imagination. And I have always tried to hold on to that. I've always tried to hold on to joy. I love feeling joy. I love bringing joy. I love having a great time. I love hosting parties. I like dance parties. I like singing. I like karaoke. I like riding motorcycles and jumping out of planes. I mean, this is just my personality. It's always been. And all of those things, I think I've tried to grow up and be a responsible human being in the ways that's important, but I've also, kind of shirked some of that stuff where I feel like people tend to feel like, well, we got to take this more seriously, or we got to take, or rather take ourselves more seriously, which I think we need to do far less of. We need to take ourselves far less seriously. And so all of those things I think have, helped kind of protect the little kid in me. Yeah. And by the way, and maybe even some of my mental illness that I'm so grateful to God that even all of that bad stuff he used, or she or it or whatever used to maintain this essence of who I am deep down inside. And all of that I just got to filter right into the character. I mean, on top of the fact that ever since I was a kid, I dreamt about being a superhero, like I think most of us do. It's total wish fulfillment. Yeah. Like, I feel bad for a lot of the actors who play the serious superheroes, which, by the way, most of them are. Most of them are very serious adults who are concerned with saving the world. And so
which is you in real life.
Exactly, right? Yeah, exactly. But, I know that Christian Bale was probably super chuffed that he got to be Batman, but he had to sit on it. He had to he was like, oh my God, I get to be Batman. And then the cameras were rolling. He's like, I'm Batman. Yeah. I got to literally not rein myself in at all. All that enthusiasm that I felt for like, oh my God, I'm getting this dream job. Yeah. I just got to, put that right into the character onto the screen. Plus hanging out with the kids, which we have a whole incredible and talented cast of kids, and that I worked with all the time. And they would constantly remind me what it meant to be a kid, which in a lot of ways is just not having responsibility. They're able to still be silly and not take themselves so seriously until they start getting into like high school years. And then all of a sudden it's all about clicks and cool and all that garbage that, oh my God, I can't wait to maybe do a school tour one day and go to high schools and say, stop, don't care about social constructs anymore. Stop it. Go do all the homework, do all the things that your parents and your teachers are asking you to do. There's a whole life beyond high school. It's all just one big bubble. It's going to blow up. You're never going to see those people again. Oh my gosh, there's so much time that we waste wishing that we were a part of whatever this cool clique is. And by the way, even that, I want to redefine the word cool. Cool. All the people that think they're cool or are trying to be cool are the least cool. Being cool means you're trusting. Being cool means you're not fazed. You're not worried about fitting in. Let's go be actually cool. Let's not go try and be like, oh, I need to wear the right clothes or I need to have the right style or whatever that is. That's all nonsense. I can't. I want all that to die a horrible death. I love that. Yeah, for real. But yeah, so on top of all that, yeah, just like, getting to be that kid and bring that kid to life on screen is a lot of fun. But I really, again, like the movie's done well, and I'm really grateful that it's doing well, not even just domestically, but internationally and all that. But the thing I'm most proud of in this film, and the thing I'm most grateful for, is that I believe that, again, God is using me to portray a character that is bringing people joy. People are leaving the theater and they are floating a foot off the ground. Kids and adults are yelling Shazam as they're leaving the theater and feeling that imagination come back to life in them again. And if what I believe is true, which is that I was put on this planet to love people and to bring them joy, and that this is what is now happening in my life, I just gratitude, just like the deepest gratitude.
That's awesome, man. I love that. And hearing you say that reminds me of something I read a while ago. I think it went along, I want to get this right. It went along the lines of, we don't stop playing because we get old. We get old because we stop playing.
Yes.
And I think whatever play means to you as you get older, obviously you may not be messing around with action figures, maybe you are, but the point is of continuously having play in our lives and being playful and being childlike, not childish.
Yes.
And we see a lot of humans, we continue to be childish, but not childlike.
Yes.
And I think keeping that fresh eyes, looking at things as brand new, living as if every day is just some new exploration and curiosity, that can stay with us. So I love this, man. I'm going to ask you my big final 5 questions.
Let's do it.
These are rapid fire, quick fire answers. So, I mean, you'd be great at that. So here we go. The first one that I have for you is, this is probably a slightly trick question, but I want to know anyway. If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Teleportation.
Oh, interesting.
I've thought a lot about this.
Okay.
I think teleportation, it would be a very fun, but also probably the most handy and practical, because you can do anything from, going on a trip with all of your friends. We all know from the lore of comic books that whatever you're touching goes with you with teleportation. So obviously, as long as you can connect like all your fingers and toes to a bunch of bags and a bunch of friends and family, then you're all on a vacation together, which would be great. Or if you're just feeling lazy and you want to zap like from your bed into the bathroom and then back again, you know what I mean? It's very handy.
Awesome. Second question. You were saying you're even thinking about building like a commune, a space.
Yeah.
If the world, if your ideal world, ideal community, ideal town or city had a set of ideals, values, and beliefs and habits, what would those be?
Ooh. Well, minimalism. That's one of the things. I am a huge proponent of minimalism. I think that we've all been fed a lie for a really long time, which ties directly into consumerism and materialism. And I really do believe it's a lie. We don't need all the things that we think that we need. And we are now owned by what we own. And that is another thing that's leading us into more mental health issues. And I want to get back to basics. So it'd be community, it'd be minimalism, it would be love and grace and tolerance and understanding and forgiveness, and more forgiveness and more forgiveness and more grace, because these are seriously lacking in the world right now, and empathy and more empathy. And just helping people heal.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. If you could get the world to practice one habit or one tool for 30 days, what would that habit
Gratitude.
be? Gratitude. Nice. I like that. That's awesome. Yeah. I think that could change a lot too.
I mean, it's, again, I know it's different for everyone in every place that they're in their life. And I don't expect everyone to have as easy a time being grateful for where you are in your life. But I, from my own personal experience, to start with that, if you can get there, it helps to put other things into place, and then it makes a lot of your life a lot easier.
I love it. Question 4 out of 5. What's one big thing you want to learn this year? Anything you want to learn? Something new you want to learn?
I at New Year, I was on a trip with a bunch of friends, and we were all, on New Year's Eve, we were all talking about if you could have one word that described your last year, what would it be? And to be perfectly honest, I think transformation was last year's, because it was an incredibly transformative time for me. But then, and what would be one word for the next year? And the word that I chose was patience. So, and then my friend actually made me this bracelet, which is Morse code, that says forgiveness, or it says patience on it. And I think that's what I want to continue to learn this year, because I've always been a super deep forward thinker of like future thinking, and like, I want to go build this film studio and all the things that go with it. And I see it all in my head, and I want it now. I want it to be right now, because I want to be enjoying it right now. And I want all of my friends and family and strangers and everybody to be enjoying it right now. And I have to know that it's not up to me. This timing is not up to me. Your timing of your life is not up to you. We get to play a part in it, and a very significant part in that. But there are so many other factors that are going on. And so I really want to learn to just be more patient in this life. Yeah.
I love that. And the final 5th question, what's an ideal role or collaboration for you in the future? Something that you'd love to have.
Man.
Could be in any area.
So many. So many. I don't know. I mean, from an acting standpoint, I mean, there's so many directors and other actors that I would love to work with. And, so I don't know. Working with Tom Hanks, I think, would be pretty amazing. He's always been my idol, since I was a kid. And to that matter, Steven Spielberg, working for him as a director. But outside of the acting world, I do want to start recording more music. I don't know with whom or how that's going to work out. But then beyond that, I really do want to somehow figure out how to parlay all of this stuff into more of a leadership role in helping the world heal. You know, that's the collaboration that I really want to figure out, and the trajectory that I really want to figure out. And again, I'm just going to wait on God and be patient for what that is going to look like. But
we should work on that together too.
I would love to. Jay Shetty, we're going to do it. It's going to happen.
When you say it like that, it feels like it's actually going to happen.
Yeah, man.
But
Dude,
no,
I would love that. I would love that.
No, but thank you, Zach. Like, honestly, you like really brought it today. Like the energy, this man is like, I'm sitting in front of him, he's sweating. Like he's like literally
I'm sweating.
Like he's literally given like every ounce of his
Partly
energy.
the coffee.
Yeah. No, he's literally put every ounce of his energy into this podcast. So everyone who's listening, make sure you share this. Make sure you share what you've learned. Tag Zach, tag me as well on Instagram. I love seeing what people took away. I love seeing what messages are the ones that really resonate with people. So if you are listening to this right now, make sure you put it out on Instagram. Would love to check you out there as well. Zach, thank you so much for turning up. Thank you so much for showing up. Keep doing what you're doing on Instagram, using it as a platform for service, everything that you're doing. I'm so excited.
Thank you.
And I'm excited for our new friendship too.
Love yourself, love yourself, love yourself, love yourself, love others. You are lovable, you are loved, and you are worthy of that love.
I love it. That's Zachary Levi, everyone. Thank you.
Man.
Thanks so much,
Absolutely.
bro. You're amazing, man. Thank you.
Thank you.
If you want even more videos just like this one, make sure you subscribe and click on the boxes over here. I'm also excited to let you know that you can now get my book, Think Like a Monk, from thinklikeamonkbook.com. Check below in the description to make sure you order today.